Hello everyone, and welcome to the 7th session of the ILC on the topic of the peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula. I would like to directly explain about the interpretation that is available for this webinar. There is Russian interpretation, so please, if you need interpretation, click the globe at the bottom of your screen and choose Russian. There is also a Q&A session during this webinar, so if you have any questions to the panelists, please send them on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. So it's really nice to see that so many of you are already connected on Zoom this morning, and we have panelists and participants from all over Europe and the Middle East, as well as from Korea and other parts of the world. So welcome to all of you. My name is Melanie Komagata, and I've studied international relations as well as East Asian studies, and I'm currently an intern at UPF Europe and Middle East and representing today the International Association of Youth and Students for Peace, ILC2021-7. So I will be your moderator for this webinar. We have very special speakers today. First of all, Juhi who is representing YSP Korea. We also have Andrei Litvinov, who is Ukrainian and currently living and teaching in Korea. And finally, we have Jongye Hassinen, Secretary General of IYSP Europe and Middle East. So they will be sharing with us today their expertise on the topic of the youth's contribution to peace on the Korean Peninsula and also in the world, of course. And they'll also be sharing with us about the various projects and initiatives they've done so far. I would like to start with, before giving them the floor, a little introduction on the International Association of Youth and Students for Peace, IOISP, as it is today's host of this webinar. So I will just shortly screen share. Hope you can all see well. So IOISP stands for the International Association of Youth and Students for Peace and was inaugurated quite recently in 2017 in South Korea and was founded by Dr. Hak Jahan Moon with the purpose to provide a supportive platform for the development of young people and to encourage them to apply their talents and their skills to build a world of peace, notably by supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And through various peace projects, IOISP empowers youth and students around the world to go beyond their national boundaries and become global citizens. So therefore, the purpose of this webinar as a youth NGO is to show the importance of the Korean reunification to young people of the world as an important step to world peace, because there can be no world peace without first peace in Korea, and especially between people of a common ancestry, common language and culture that has been shared for thousands of years. As you may probably know, the Korean people have suffered greatly from the division of their country after World War II as a result of the winners of the war's decisions, the United States and the Soviet Union. And also, after the Korean War from 1950 to 1953, Korea was completely destroyed and was divided until today. And I won't go into many more details of the history, although I love history. I'm really passionate about it. Other speakers will probably also mention a bit about the history of Korea. But I would like to mention that after over 70 years of the division of the Korean Peninsula, generations have passed, and now the future of Korea and of the world lies in the hands of the youth. And indeed, young people are the ones to take the initiative in bringing about harmony between the two Koreas. However, as North and South Korea were divided by superpowers at the end of World War II, peace between them does not only concern and depend on the Korean people, it is also a concern of Europe and of the whole world. Also, too often these days we hear about the nuclear power program of North Korea and that the youth in South Korea is not interested anymore about the reunification. Nevertheless, we don't hear enough about all the things that were done by young people throughout history and still today for peace in the world and in Korea. And that is what our panel and I would like to share with you today, to give you a hopeful message and to give you also the strength to take action in your own way for peace. So, since the division of the two Koreas, young people have done many activities in their field of passion, and this has led to some rapprochement of the hearts of the two Korean people. In the field of sports, which fits actually perfectly the spirit of these days of the Olympic Games in Tokyo, there has been actually several times a unified Korean team, just like Germany had a united team in the 1950s and 1960s. And by competing together, athletes from North Korea and South Korea and their supporters were able to overcome ideological barriers and become one in spirit and heart. They've used the unification flag, as you can see on the screen, and the anthem of Arirang as a unified team. There has been such teams in table tennis 3 times in 1991, as well as in 2018, twice, and it was a great success for these teams. Also in football and at the Winter Olympics, as well as in handball, there were unified teams. Otherwise, as here you can see in the screen, the entrance of the unified Korean team at the Pyeongchang Olympic Games. But there were also in the domains of art and music many cultural exchanges, as for example, the Little Angels. Maybe you've participated in yesterday's session 6, that was on the topic of culture. There were many exchanges, and for example, the Little Angels troupe, which is a traditional Korean dance and music troupe of young artists. They performed in Pyongyang in 1998, and then 2 years later, young artists from North Korea came to perform in Seoul, and it was truly a deep cultural exchange that moved the hearts of the Korean people. There were also other projects, such as tree planting in North Korea for the good of the environment, and some were also organized by YSP Korea. And then finally, I want to mention the fact that during the Korean War, soldiers from 16 UN member nations, as well as from communist China, were sent to Korea. And these soldiers were very young back then, and they all had the same wish to bring peace in the world. And that desire for peace truly goes beyond generation and is still current, despite the fact that perhaps the idea doesn't come anymore to do this through power, but to do it through other means. So, I would like to end this introduction with a video of the 1991 table tennis World Championships that happened in Chiba, Japan, where a unified Korean women's team won the gold medal. So yes, please enjoy the video. Thank you very much. It was a very deep moment for these athletes to spend 46 days together, and they truly had to overcome their difference in ideology and way of thinking. And they were truly able to unite as one as they won against China, that had been number one in table tennis for numerous years. I also would like to recommend all of you to watch the South Korean movie that came out in 2012 entitled As One, that presents the story of these women who competed in a unified team. So now it's time to hear our speakers. We have, first of all, Juhi She is unfortunately she cannot present live as she works, but she still sent us a recorded video. So first of all, I would like to present her. Mrs. Juhi is Korean and has a bachelor's degree in philosophy and pedagogy from Konkuk University. She is currently a volunteer for the International Association of Youth and Students for Peace in Korea, and particularly invests herself in the peace project entitled Uni-Us, which has as a goal the peaceful reunification of Korea. Before giving her the word, there is a little introduction video of the project of Uni-Us. The video is entitled Letter from the Future, and it has won actually the Minister of Unification Award in 2020. It won the first prize. And it was truly a lot of work from college students and other people that had to draw more than 300 drawings per person to create this video. And Eunji Kim, who is the representative of Uni-Us, said that the members of Uni-Us team put their heart into each drawing with the mindset of drawing a unified future. So please enjoy.
안녕하세요. 제가 당신 덕분에 취업에 성공할 수 있었어요. 통일이 되어 북측의 회사가 아주 많이 생겼거든요. 저도 열심히 일해서 당신처럼 누군가에게 힘이 되고 싶어요. 될 수 있겠죠?
하나, 둘, 셋. 너무 잘 찍혔다. 안녕하세요. 와, 여기서 다 만나네요. 저희 지금 러시아 가요. 다 당신 덕분이에요.
서울에서 러시아행 기차가 개통돼서 러시아 가는 건 시국행복기예요.
정말 잘 됐죠?
안녕하세요. 제가 당신 덕분에 등록금 면제로 대학을 다닐 수 있게 되었어요. 남북한이 통일되면서 국방비 예산이 줄고 교육 지원금이 생겼거든요. 제가 원하는 공부를 마음껏 할 수 있어서 너무 신나요. 후!
안녕하세요. 당신 덕분에 오랫동안 떨어져 지냈던 아들과 다시 만날 수 있게 되었어요. 이렇게 오래 떨어져 있을 줄은 몰랐는데. 하지만 같이 살 수 있게 되어서 너무 기뻐 눈물이 다 나네. 아빠!
감사합니다. 당신 덕분에 우리 아이는 평화로운 세상에서 살 수 있어요. 당신이 선물해준 이 세상을 함께 지켜나가겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
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 고마워요.
우린 기억하겠습니다. 어쩌면 우리가 만들 수 있는 새로운 미래의 어느 날, 우리가 함께 만들어가면 어떨까요?
Hello, my name is Juhi and I'm a member of Korea YSP. First of all, I'm very honored to be here. Korea's unification agenda is not something Korea can solve alone, but it is also in need of world-level support and attention. That's why it is very inspiring that we are having this meeting where people from all over the world gather to talk about Korean unification. First of all, I want to share a brief history about Korea's division. Korea was under Japanese rule as a colony from 1910 to 1945 and got freed after the Second World War. But Korea couldn't achieve complete freedom since the victorious countries involved in the Second World War decided to divide Korea and take control. The Soviet Union, which was a country based on socialism and communism, oversaw the northern part of Korea. And the United States, based on capitalism and democracy, oversaw the southern part of Korea. Even after those two parties decided to withdraw the armies and the control towers from Korea, these ideological differences stayed, preventing peaceful unification. Historically, all over the world, there have been lots of ideological conflicts, ranging from religion versus science in the Middle Ages to communism versus democracy in recent decades. Especially, the ideological struggle between communism and democracy has resulted in numerous deaths. And it still lasts until now in the form of the division between North and South Korea. No matter how hard we advocate for world peace and step forward, if there is one country that is divided due to ideological and political conflict, we will never be able to achieve a peaceful world where anyone can feel safe and valued. So as a young person who still believes that we can be part of establishing a peaceful world, I believe in the power of small acts, as one proverb saying, "Little drops of water make the mighty ocean." To show the power of small acts, I'll tell you one story. In January 2021, one family came to a restaurant where Flavia was working. Flavia is the manager of the restaurant, and she found that something was very strange with the family. The parents and one of their children were having a meal, but the other child wasn't eating anything. Flavia recognized that this boy was conspicuously skinny and had a bruise on his face. She approached this boy secretly and handed him a small note, on which she had written, "Do you need help?" This boy nodded his head, and the parents got caught soon after Flavia called the police. Imagine if Flavia hadn't done anything about it. She noticed something was not okay, but she decided to ignore it and just continue working. The police said if the boy had kept on being abused as before, he could have died. So her giving the boy a note was actually a huge thing that saved his life. This story tells us the importance of paying attention to what's happening around us and acting on it. You can start even from the smallest thing. Personally, I studied philosophy and pedagogy at university, so I tried to find the opportunity to volunteer to teach kids who are North Korean defectors or children of North Korean defectors living in South Korea. And I donate every month until now to support them. There are some interesting activities regarding Korean unification going on in Korea YSP. There is a project called UniUs, which means we are the ones who are intelligently preparing for unification. With the purpose to spread positive thoughts on unification, students gathered and organized activities by themselves. There was someone who knew how to do video editing, so our first activity was making videos about reunification and uploading them on YouTube channel. Videos ranged from discussing news articles covering North and South Korea's division problems to comparing North and South Korea's snacks and cosmetic products. In our team, there was also someone who wanted to become a webcomic illustrator. So our second project was posting short comics about reunification on Instagram. Recently, UniUs team participated in one competition that was held by Ministry of Unification and got the first prize award, which was given by the Prime Minister. Young people are full of potential and talent. I believe that using our own abilities to build a peaceful world is more than worthwhile. And even from far away, you will be able to find something you can take part in, even if that's just donating a small amount to NGOs. North and South Korea's unification is a politically complicated problem, But with our own talents and ideas, we can definitely initiate something creative and fun that can make a difference. Let me finish this talk by sharing an inspiring message. Peace starts with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Juhi, for your investment for peace in Korea and your empowering message showing us how we can contribute to peace even with little donations. We need to first envision peace to create it, of course, and let us also remember what you mentioned, little drops of water make the mighty ocean. I would like now to introduce our second speaker, Andrei Litvinov. And he is actually a Ukrainian living in Korea for already 11 years and is married to his Korean wife with whom he has 5 children. He is also the founder of the Ethnic Korean Kids Center and of the online Korean language school named Culture DNA. He's also a teacher of Senal School for Foreign Students and is an article writer in Segeilbo newspaper. He also takes part in TV and radio programs to present the interests and rights of foreign children living in Korea, as you will see in the introduction video right now.
똑같이 굶고 똑같이 힘든 거를 극복해 나가면서 이제 살았던 그런 우리나라의 역사 있는데 한국이 많이 비슷합니다. 그래서 제 이야기를 들려줄 때, 제 아픔을 이렇게 표현했을 때 한국 사람들이 저 외국인의 문제다, 저 그냥 외국이다 이런 대응을 한 번도 받아본 적 없고 항상 저랑 같이 울고 항상 제가 어떤 필요가 있으면 항상 도와주고. 일단 자기 문화를 잊어버려야 돼요. 자기 기준 내려놓고 일평생 동안 이 땅에 살겠다 하는 다짐 없이는 사실 문화에 적응할 수 없다고 생각을 해요. 굉장히 행복해요. 왜냐하면 저를 사랑하는 사람이 이제 5명은 확실하게 저희 팬들이에요. 아내부터 시작해서 넷이 저를 아주 무조건 사랑하니까 5명의 사랑을 그냥 저는 정복받고 있어서.
선생님께 인사.
선생님 안녕하세요. 오늘은 난데요.
아이들도 자기 정체성이 명확해져야 되고 한국에서도 정확한 시각이 돼야 되는데 그러려면 사실 그게 그냥 하루아침에 되는 게 아닐 것 같아요. 이거 굉장히 큰 노력. 거래인 쪽에서도 많이 노력해야 되고 나라 쪽에서도 좀 많이 노력해야 될 것 같아요. 보이지 않는 사람 되고 싶어요. 보이지 않게 많은 예들을 세워주고 싶어요. 거래인 아이들이 점점 더 성숙하는 모습을 보는 자리에 그냥 있고 싶은 거예요. 축구 선수들도 김치를 먹으면 엄마를 생각하더라고. 그래서 저에게 한국은 엄마 같은 나라. 김치에 있는 엄마의 맛 를 가지고 있는 엄마의 따뜻함을 가지고 있는 나라.
Hi everyone. It's a very big and huge honor for me to see every one of you and so many participators from all around the world caring about Korea, wanted to know about unification of Korea. It's kind of miracle. So let's take our steps to get to know why are we here. And maybe every one of us have our own story. You know, when we fall in love with Asia, when we start our journey to loving Asian country, and then we came to caring about Korea. So for every one of us, we have different understanding and different view on what Korea is, what Korea is for you. For many teenagers, Korea is guys from BTS or you know, any like all those K-pop stars. For people more mature, it's maybe Samsung or Hyundai or whenever some good things which comes from South Korea. For someone, maybe it's one of the best players that, as I believe, in Premier League is Sonny. So what Korea is for you? But actually, many of us, we think that Korea is this successful story, and we like Korea because it is successful story. So we like Korean dramas, right? We like Korean dramas because it looks so good. And all those Korean actors, they look so good, they look so fine, But the problem is that the family portrait, the thing that we see on a screen, the thing that we see on a stage, sometimes can look like a family portrait, which looks okay, but not every time is okay. And actually, the family portrait of Korea Peninsula, it's kind of very sad family portrait, because many times they talk about the past, and if they talk about the present, well, there is much thing that they don't want to even talk about it. So there is very bad joke that some people can say, like, where are you from? And they say, I'm from Korea. And then somebody can say, are you from North Korea or are you from South Korea? And it is a bad joke, not because of like, I'm proud that I'm from South Korea. No, it's because if you try to make a difference between North Korea and South Korea, but Korea is actually one. You can say, no, there is North Korea, there is South Korea. But what if I will tell you that the history of Korea Peninsula counts more than 5,000 years? So in these 5,000 years, only 70 years they are separate. It means that 4,930 years they were together. And if you calculate to normal family time, can you, for example, let's say as a family we live, let's say 50 years, right? So if you convert the family time to a history time of Korea Peninsula, it means that 49 years, I'm bad in math actually, but in my math it sounds like that, but close to. So 49 years you live together, you have very dramatic, you have a very deep relationship, and then boom, and only 1 year, a last 1 year, you don't live together. So what will happen with you? Can you imagine you have pretty nice family, and especially for Korean nation, maybe if you know, then one of the best things that Koreans can do, they can get it together. Every time when it's hard, every time when it's crisis, Koreans know how to unify, how to be close to each other, and then now they're separate. So it's actually pretty sad story. Even though we see all those guys, even though we see all those guys happy on the stage, we see them happy on the screen. Well, maybe the thing is not that kind of good. And one of the good explanation I heard on a previous session that speaker told that, okay, the girl, she saw the boy who was not okay, and she noticed it and she helped him, right? So the same thing with Korea. So actually, do you know that random people are already united? Now we talk about unification and we say, what shall we do for unification? But actually, when you come to Korea, you can see that the regular people, they don't have any kind of big problem in unification. Already, they are one. And already when they come to Korea from North Korea, they treat it as it's their own country. And in the midst of normal people, in the midst of regular people, there is no fight. There is no some division. It's normal thing. But and now I think that what can we do? What can we do? Still we think, okay, but still there is division between North Korea and South Korea. So what we can do? The problem is that we need to decide. It's not about the regular people, right? We need to change the culture. We need to change the culture. We need to change the understanding of the world, how we look on how the world and how the society look on the Korea Peninsula and all this division thing. And some of us can say, okay, we are helpless. We cannot do anything. So it's a thing for politics. It's a thing for big guys. It's not a thing for me. But actually, you know, these days, if you go and if you look to things like TikTok or Facebook or stuff, you can see that regular people can change the world. Now, every one of us can take our phones and can take our can take our social media and can change the world, because actually we can do it. And regular person can be a star. Now we can see how, you know, the person from nowhere just raised his voice, and now he's one of the famous and influencer. Now every one of us can be influencer. But the problem is that why don't we use our influence to something that brings unification, to something that breaks the bones of division, right? So I like one of the good music video of the singer called Justin Bieber, and he sings, he say, "I'm lonely," right? But if you look in the eyes of Korean singers, and if you look at the eyes of Korean actors, you will see the same pain. You will see the loneliness in their eyes, because they look happy, but actually, you know, that still a country called Korea, still in the midst of the war, still in division, still many relatives of all those guys live in North Korea. We are not okay. Sometimes we pretend that we are okay, but we are not okay. Family portrait remain the family portrait. And there is something that we can do for all these beautiful and amazing people. Not only say, "Hey, Kim Ji-min, I love you," or whenever, "Park Ji-min, I love you," or something. Maybe for them and for all Korean people, what we can do, we can support them and say, "We care about you. We care not only about your beauty, but we also care about your pain. We care not only about your good things on your family portrait, but we want to know what happened behind that. And actually, we want to help you to have not only memories about all that past, but we want to help you to restore all those great histories that you had back in all those 5,000 years, because Korea had the great history. You know, they had a Lee Sun-shin general who fought all those fights, who had all victories. We had the Sejong King, right? We have all those heroes who fought for Korean freedom. And actually, as also we heard in the previous session, that America and Soviet Union, they brought the tanks, they brought the war. But now it's our task to say, okay, we brought tanks, and now our task is to bring the peace, okay? So if we brought the war, and if we hadn't connection, if we in that time we didn't have the internet, and we were careless, we were helpless, but now is different time. Now we can be, you know, we can put the interest, now we can change the future, now we can do something about it. So let's do it. You know, the thing that I don't really like about these days, that we like to talk. We talk a lot, we say we study a lot, but now it's time to action. And actually, there's a lot of things that we can do. Well, it's my picture, you know, the thing that we can do. Actually, in this picture, you can see kids, and those kids are from different countries. And what you can do, you can put them to your Venezuela and just take them, and you can help them. You can help them whenever you are. You can help them by going to Korea or by being active on social media. But actually, the Korea, they need us. They need our hands. They need our voices. They need our attention. They need us. No matter how happy picture we see right now, still there is a war. Still there is a division. So it's our task to say, okay, let's do and change and do something about it. So yeah, this is it. My time is gone.
Thank you so much, Andre. It was very deep, and you shared with us about the reality of South Korea and the Korean people, and also the importance of family in the Korean culture. And I think it's really important to see, as you've said, that we have a certain responsibility. As we brought the tanks, we also need now to bring peace to Korea. So your call for action is very strong, and any one of us, as you said, can change the world, and we can become influencers through social medias notably. And if we use this influence for peace, then we can bring positive results for the whole world. So thank you so much, Andre. We will come back to you after for the question and answers, but before we're still going to have another speaker. It's Jonghae Hasenin. She is Korean and currently serving as the Secretary General of the Europe and Middle East branch of the International Association of Youth and Students for Peace. And she previously served also as its president. And she was one of the core people introducing IYSP to the region of Europe and Middle East in 2018. She holds a bachelor's degree in international leisure and tourism and also a master's degree in theology. And she's currently living in Vienna with her Finnish husband. So please welcome Jonghae Hasenin with a big round of applause from behind your screens.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm grateful and honored for the opportunity to talk at this event today, especially since it is concerning the situation and hope for my homeland, Korea. I'd like to start by sharing my own story. I was born and lived in Korea almost my whole life. My father is Korean and my mother is Japanese. Many people know Korea and Japan as enemies. But to me, Korea is my father's country and Japan is my mother's country. My husband's parents are from Finland and Germany in Europe. And now I also consider Finland and Germany as my country. And my husband and I now live in Austria. So Austria is also a home country to me. The present era is a global era where not only one's own country, but the whole world is living together as a community. And now for me, differences and boundaries between races and borders have disappeared, and we live and together work together and grow together. Even so, it hurts my heart to know that there is still a country that has not yet been reunified, and that even a border runs through this country, preventing its people from coming and going, or even communicating with their own family. Not only on the Korean Peninsula, but in any country and any race, what everyone has longed for is peace. Of course, the world is still struggling due to national self-interest and wars on larger and smaller levels. If you think about it realistically, the cost of economic unification, the cost of maintaining division, political solution, etc., it will be difficult to talk about it all in one day, and opinions will be divided if we all focus on our own personal or national benefits. However, in the long run, everyone knows that unification is beneficial both nationally and globally. The reason all the wars and fights and conflicts have occurred so far is because people have only thought about and focused on how to benefit oneself and one's country more than anything else. So what I want to focus on today is how we can help each other and achieve peace together, rather than thinking primarily of our own profit. Isn't that something we can do? So of the two people who spoke before me today, one is volunteering as a student in Korea without being a person with fame, wealth, or position. And the other is doing service work as a foreigner who has a deep love for Korea. Historically, the ones leading a change when their environment was in trouble were the young people and ordinary citizens who had a vision for peace and unification. I think that if our global citizens take the lead one by one and prepare for unification, we can surely achieve it. Furthermore, I'm convinced that each one of us taking interest and action will surely lead to a peaceful world. It has already been 70 years since two opposing ideologies divided a country and caused its people to suffer. We cannot wait any longer. Unification must be achieved as soon as possible by stepping beyond differences, beyond ideologies, and seeing each other as one people, one family. I'd like to shortly touch upon why Korean unification is not just a matter of Koreans, but the whole world. It is natural for Koreans, and for young people it's a bit less now. An interest such big matter, their own country, for the Korean people. But why should others also have an interest? The reason is simple. The division of Korea did not happen by will of Koreans. So reunification also does not depend only on Korea. In the Korean War, there were soldiers of 18 other countries involved in the fighting in addition to Koreans. Even now, the interests of foreign powers keep Korea apart. Therefore, we need international action to align these interests about the Korean Peninsula. The first step is thus to raise awareness of the value of every country's and every individual's cooperation and support. In conclusion, I'd like to invite you to listen to the speech given by the Korean president in the movie called Still Rain 2, the summit. Please enjoy.
My fellow citizens, over the past few years, many people asked me, can unification really happen? I always gave a vague answer and said it'll work out. But today I can answer with complete conviction. Unification cannot be achieved by the will or power of one president, nor by the determination and power just of politicians and officials. It may take a few more decades to build peace, and for South and North Korea to trust and understand each other. The path to unification will require tremendous effort. Beloved citizens, I can say one thing with certainty, that without your efforts, nothing will happen. So I ask you now, are you willing to realize unification in our time?
Thank you very much, Jung-hae, also for this video, and your message was really deep about really caring for one another and really caring beyond our national barrier and community to really understand each other as well. And I really hope that all of us can feel our responsibility to take action for peace in the world and in Korea. So thank you so much. We will now go on with the Q&A session. We've received many questions also previously, and some are quite common actually, so it's very great. I would like to ask, first of all, is our panelist Juhi here or not? Was she able to come in or not? In case she was able to, then please let us know and we'll try to make sure you can be on the screen as well. And if not, thank you still for sending us your recording. So the first question is from Daniela Andreozzi from Italy, and it was quite similar to the one from Vicky Bensby from Czech Republic. It was how to introduce to young people from all around the world about the importance of the Korean reunification and how to encourage the youth to contribute in building a unified world and a unified Korea. So would you like to go first, perhaps, Andre?
Yeah. Actually, if you go and if you watch, if you will see how it goes like in Asia, right? So many countries, they are okay. Like Asia, like China, they feel okay. Japan is fine. Vietnam and all those countries is okay. But there is something that has a problem, right? And now the problematic side is South Korea and North Korea. So we can say, okay, well, it's a problem. Well, let's close our eyes. Let's do it later. And every time when it comes to like that, for example, for our health, right? We have some problems. Say, okay, it's fine. Let's do it later. Let's do it later. And if we do it later, the problem getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So well, we can find a lot of way to convince them. But let's say that if you will close your eyes, doesn't mean that the problem will gone. It means that as more as you close your eyes, as more as you say it's okay, it's fine, let's do it later, the problems get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that can bring a huge and very bad influence on not only for North or South Korea, it can bring bad influence to all around the world. So, and also actually we are one family, we are one, we are win together, we are lose together, right? So I think this way we can tell to young people that okay, let's do something about unification. And also, of course, I think that now young population, they care about BTS, right? And all they care about all those drama or stuff. But let's be honest. Let's say that, okay, guys, if you love your idols, if you love BTS, why don't you do something what is really important for all those BTS and all those idols, guys, you know? And it's unification is important for them. Then, okay, if you're a fan, then you go and you do something which is important for BTS. So let's go and do it. And I think if we will touch just only ARMY, if we will bring this message just to ARMY, then we can bring the unification, because there is a lot of armies, right, all around the globe. So if only ARMY will stand up, we can do it, actually. But the problem is that many of them still doesn't know that, right? And nobody gives this approach to them. So why don't we go and say, okay, hey, armies, let's do it. And I think, yeah, maybe it's a little bit childish. Maybe it's a little bit like, you know, romantic kind of thoughts from me, but why don't we try it?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Andre. Just a little detail about ARMY. It's the name of the fan group of BTS, if you don't know, and that you think it's a military army, for those who didn't know. And so I guess it's really also about caring, as you mentioned, you know, if you care for these K-pop groups, then you care for Korea, and it's all about, you know, if you care, then that will encourage you to contribute. So thank you so much, Andre. Now, would you like to say something about that question, Jonghae?
Yeah, I think Andre really gave a practical answer. In my case, it's not actually, to be honest, it's not easy to convey importance of Korean reunification. Who is not Korean people, especially around the world. If you're just thinking about explaining the external reasons, but I want to more think that we should encourage more about the value of the empathy and also responsibility of young people or the people itself, oneself. So I think, as Andre mentioned, that actually, even though we think that we are living in the separate world, actually we all connected each other, and actually it's family, friends of friends is already my family. So yeah, if we really start to feel about this matter is another country or not separate with me, but really connect. And it's like, yeah, with my own problem or own conflict or own sadness or own thing that I need to solve. So if you have this responsibility and also empathy, I'm sure that actually young people, they will be easier to work and do action. So it's this awareness and about the feeling, starting to feel about connection is really important, I think.
Thank you so much, Jonghae. It's really important, as you said, empathy, responsibility, and also to develop our character then as young people. It goes with it. Thank you. Our second question, actually, it was asked by 3 different people. It was quite similar. There was, first of all, Dimitri from Russia, also Salian Franklin from UK, and also Daler Nematov. They all asked about how young South Koreans are less and less interested in the reunification. And related to that, the first question is, what are the reasons, according to you, why they feel less concerned about this reunification? And secondly, how can we truly influence and have a positive influence on why they should perceive the division of the country as temporary, just like young North Koreans see it, and how to show also the opportunities of the Korean reunification. So it's all about that. You have the floor. Perhaps Andrea first.
Yeah. Well, it's a value problem, because if you go and see what the young population of South Korea is thinking about these days, it's how to get success. So it's how to get good marks and how to go to a good college and how to get a good job. This is everything what they think about. And if you go and start to speak about more deep value, such as family, such as love and society, then it's open that, okay, hey, we need to solve this. We have a problem in society, we have a problem in our family, whenever. So it's open their mind. Even today, when I watched the previous videos, so literally I just kind of started to cry when it was about the grandma. She said that, okay, thank you for bringing my child together. So what can be more, what can be more? When child say, okay, thank you for making the world, my sky without war. What can be better? We don't actually, people say, okay, if we have unification, then we will have good resources. We can go to travel to Russia. Well, it's good. But there is some more huge values, which is far and far important, which is human being, the happiness of human being. It's a unification of the families. It's a just peaceful sky. It's a huge thing. And if we will teach these kind of values, then young people can say, okay, they will understand, because we are human being. We are a human, so we have the same thinking. So I think we need to work more about giving them the right understanding about what is precious, not the money, not the success, but maybe the happiness and peace between two countries and unification. What if it's much more important than the money that you can have from the good job? So this is, I think that we need to do a lot of work about teaching them what is the right value these days.
Thank you so much, Andre. So really going beyond materialism. If I can add something about that, I've recently watched an interview of a North Korean defector in South Korea, and he was sharing about how difficult it was for him to adapt to South Korea because he really couldn't see anymore the values of the family, and that goes beyond all the material desires. And for him, at some point, he even thought about taking his own life because he couldn't see his purpose in life anymore. And that's when he realized the problem is that I'm aiming at the same goals as the South Koreans, which is everything material and academic success and so on. So I think that's a really important point, and perhaps that's what isn't lost yet in North Korea. They still have some values, perhaps, with the family. So yes,
and
thank you.
It is not lost in South Korea also. It is not lost. We are still human beings. And when we go to funeral, we will cry. Everybody will cry because we are humans. So just only what we need to do is just to wake them up and say, okay, hey, there is something bigger than money. This is it.
Thank you for correcting me, Andre. Thank you. Jung-hye, please, you have the floor.
So the question, if I understand well, actually you want to know what is the situation for young people thinking about the reunification, and actually why they are doing this situation and how we can solve. Yeah, as I know, actually Korea YSP, they actually did a survey for young people for the middle school age and high school age. And when they asked about the middle school age, like more than 1,000 plus people, the 50% still they are thinking somehow more than 54.3% is, yeah, actually we need unification. And also 18% is no, actually we don't need. And the 24% is like they didn't answer or they don't have any opinion about it. And the high school age, the 47%, which is a bit lower than middle school age, that they feel that they need the unification. And then 23% they don't need, and 28% they didn't answer. So kind of I can guess that maybe as a young people, generally, we can say that maybe half of them is still thinking that unification is needed. I think because if they are younger, then they feel more connected with the friendship and also the connect with the family level. And when they get older, actually they think more about their comfort, like, we need our house, our work, and they want to think about what is the benefit for them. So the reason why young people is less interested about the reunification is, I feel, because many young people these days, as Andre mentioned, more materialism and also thinking about more about their own sake or own comfort. And I think this is the fundamental problem. I can say that the most value is, as our founder of YSP and UPF said, that actually living for the sake of others. So this is the value that actually I feel is missing in our society. And also we need to raise them about this value, to think about it more for the other people and care about the other people. So yeah, this is the way that I think one of the way is what he said, Andre, education for young people, because I don't think they are less educating about the unification now in the school. So if we can raise about this, and many old people who wants unification, they can do a bit more, and yeah, they can give the education for the younger ones, and also they can have chance to and see the opportunity to teach and educate them. And I hope that, yeah, this materialism and also thinking about their self is getting less and the value is going higher, and we can have hope. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jonghae. I think you really mentioned an important point about living for the sake of others, which is actually caring for others. And perhaps that's also a way each and every one of us can contribute to peace in our own way in everyday life, really by developing this heart of caring for others. So thank you so much. And also the importance about intergenerational education, being able to also, as an older person who perhaps even grew up in North Korea, being able to transmit this heart for one's own hometown and region, that's really important. Thank you so much. We now go on with the other questions. There was one, do you plan to do something in the future for the reunification of the peninsula? If so, how? So perhaps a concrete example, something you've done in the past and something you plan on doing in the future. Yes, Andre?
Yes, of course. Actually, here I live in a city called Gwangju, and we have plenty of kind of centers which work with North Korean refugee. But of course, these days, because of coronavirus, the activity is not that active, you know. But actually, yeah, the thing that I plan to do for South for unification is to raise my voice. Well, I can do that every single day, and I don't need to plan it. You know, I have my platforms. I don't need to plan it. I can wake up and tomorrow make a post, make a video, write the article, and I'm a boss of my Facebook. I'm a boss of my Instagram. So you never know. You never know how it can go. You know. So I believe that every one of us, and me also, we can be angels for the other people. Actually, many times there are so plenty of heroes that we don't know, who save lives of kids, who save lives of, who change many stuff, but still we don't know them. They are not politics, they are not great person, they are not some like well known, but they change the lives of other people. So I believe that me myself, as just normal personality, just as normal person, citizen of South Korea, what I can do, I don't need to make huge plans. The thing that I need to do is just to wake up tomorrow and make one post, just share this video. My plans for tomorrow, I will share this video to my Facebook. And I think this is the greatest thing that I can do. And by this video, I can change the world.
Wow, that's really empowering. Thank you, Andre. Now, Jonghae, please.
Yeah, if I think about what I can do and what is planned, for me, it's like my grandmother had experience about the Korean War, and she was explaining me so many times about how it felt and what is now her feeling. And whenever I think about it, I have motivation, and I feel, you know, in the future, if something is needed about the help during the unification South and North Korea, because it's gonna be so much work to do. And actually, I'm the one of the first person who would like to volunteer to go to support as a front line. So this is my desire from the long time ago. And of course, now what I'm doing is these days more kind of raising the awareness for the young people through the YSP. With the value of YSP, the rise, responsibility, and integrity, and service and empathy, that we really want to make young people more aware about the situation of South and North Korea. At the same time, yeah, like Juhi shared this, the YSP Korea, we can actually find in our environment, each one of us, we have our environment that we can find smaller and bigger levels. So, you know, even you can clean for the unification, even you can make the YouTube video for the young people. Yet, please let your voice be heard. So the talk about the positive side of the unification with others, And if necessary, you can learn more, because whenever I started to do the activities, smaller level or bigger level, I started to get more excitement and more feeling that is really important for the young people to aware, and also reunification. So I think that's really important. So yeah, for me, I'd like to be the first person who can support the front line when they happen. Yeah.
That's great. I want to join you too. Yes. Actually,
we all have this dream about million views, right? Why do we need all these million views? If people will watch your videos million times, what you will do with that? But if you will make a video about unification, about something which has value, and you will have 1 million views, then bingo.
Yes, thank you, Andre. Actually, this question was also asked to me. So I'll, for the sake of the person who asked, I will also answer in my own way to this question. From my own viewpoint, I can't even imagine my own country, Switzerland, being divided. Imagining being separated from my parents, from my siblings, from my friends, that really just breaks my heart. And thinking that this is what happened to so many countries, even Germany, Vietnam, and also Yemen, it's really heartbreaking. But these countries were able to reunify. Korea was still not able, and it's been 70 years. So to me, that's something that really I want to be able to contribute to that. So of course, I want to do something for the sake of the Korean Peninsula. And to me, what my field of passion is notably sports. Of course, I was a swimmer, but currently it's really history. And I really enjoy learning more and more about the Korean history, and also understanding more about the North Korean viewpoints and the South Korean viewpoints, and not seeing, as it's often shown in the media, in the Western media, it's shown, North Korea is bad, they have nuclear weapon and so on. And it's not really understanding their heart. And for me, through learning history, I get to understand also the North Korean people's heart, the people living in North Korea, and also the people living in South Korea, and try to go beyond what is just said in the media. So to me, that's very important, by understanding to learn to care also. And I guess they're two countries, but they're also two brothers, two sisters, and they need to overcome those differences. Just like in a family, we also sometimes have difficulties to live with one another, and I think that's an important point. So for me, as a student, still, I'm going to write my master's thesis on the topic of Korea, and also learn more about the two ideologies, how they can unite, creating a new ideology, a headwing ideology that goes beyond democracy and communism, and that they can really unite. And I also want to contribute to UPF and IOSP's founders' dream, which is to create a 5th UN office at the DMZ. So yes, that's to answer the question in a very long way. I guess we still have time for one last question. I can see that there is one about culture from Hassan Darush. I'm sorry if I didn't say it right, the name, but the question is, how can we use the element of same culture, a common culture, to unite the Korean Peninsula? Andre?
Well, yeah, it is the key, because as I said, that actually Korean culture was formed during 4,930 years, and it is so deep. We heard this song, Arirang, Arirang. This song is bring tears to North Korea and to South Korea. The story about the generals, the General Lee Sun-shin, it's the same valuable for North and for South, and all those foods that they eat during celebrations is the same for North and South, and everything what is about culture bring unity. So it is the key that we need to, of course, we have to use to say, okay, you are the same. And actually, I think that only culture can tell them, okay, you are not different, you are one. And yeah, this is the greatest key that we can use it for breaking division.
Thank you very much. Jung-hye, please.
Yeah, I think the culture is very key that we can use for the reunification. Yeah, so actually the history of Korean Peninsula is actually, as you know, the presenter said, that actually is more long history that we are together than we separated. Was only 70 years. Even though 70 years is really long time. And I think this is all we came these cultures based on the culture of history already is inside our background. So yeah, all the music and also the sports that actually what I'm thinking is the young people, they can really unite well with the sports. So if we can have more chances or making more chances for the opportunity for the young people, or you know, the old people for the music or different kinds of culture sharing, and have this more events or more time to share together and see each other, then I'm sure that actually they feel that we are already family and we are already one. So yeah, about the culture, I think we need more need to do something together as people. Yeah, the concerning is more about who actually can have this environment for the people. Is also importance of the role of the politician or role of the people who is working for it too. So we need to do both sides, not just the people. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jung-hye. We don't have much time left, so I'm just going to read one question someone wrote. It's more of a comment, I think, from Jean-Paul and Yukiko Jager. They're mentioning about the importance of questioning oneself of our purpose in life, our goal. What is my goal in life? And how perhaps this division of Korea can be an opportunity to think deeper about this meaning of life and to that way also build a better future. So I just wanted to mention that to close this Q&A session. And now we're already coming to an end, but I would still like to give 30 seconds to 1 minute's time for a closing statement from both of you. If you have any recommendation on how to establish peace in the world or in Korea, and also about words of empowerment to young people from all over the world, you have the floor now. Andre.
Dear angels, do not waste your time, because you've been sent it to this earth to be angels. And maybe you think it is not in your power, and maybe you think that it's not in your strength. But what if by sitting and doing nothing, you let two Koreas fight? But what if your role is much more than you think? And keep strength, you can do it. And because of you, we can see two Korea both hugging each other and being one. It is your choice. And without you, we cannot do anything.
Thank you, Andre. Jung-hye.
Yeah. Dear ladies and gentlemen, until today, we still don't have a single holiday which is observed throughout the whole world and is celebrated by every people. We have Christmas, but it's not all people celebrating. When the day comes on which Korea unites peacefully as one country again, this will not just be a day of celebration for Korea, but this will be a day of celebration for the whole world. So I envision it to be such a global holiday of unity, which would create the momentum for other countries and people. to lay aside their differences and unite like brothers and sisters in mutual respect and appreciation and love. So this dream, the vision is what I want to spread to the world. So let a united Korea be the starting point of a different kind of world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Junghae. What a beautiful proposition of having one holiday for the whole world. That's really new. Thank you. So we will now conclude. I would like to thank all of you panelists, as well as participants, as well as the translators, the staff, everyone, and also, of course, to all the people's contribution to peace, notably in Korea and in the world throughout history. I would like to invite us all, every one of us participants and panelists, to act as peacemakers in Korea and throughout the world, and to contribute to this universal dream of peace in your own field of passion and expertise. So please find a way, whether through music, art, sports, science, technology, there's so many ways. So please think thoroughly of how, to your field of passion, you want to contribute to peace and harmony by thinking of others. And you can also find organizations out there. There are many that work for peace, and you can even volunteer for those, and that way also develop your heart for others. So thank you all. I would like to inform you also about the next session that is happening today at 3 p.m. Central European Time. It's going to be the last session of this July ILC, and it's going to be on the topic of the Peace Road Initiative. So I really recommend all of you to join. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting. And before we end with a survey and a closing video, I would like to ask all the staff and the panelists to turn on their videos so we can take a final picture. So yes, let's have a big smile and let's take a picture all together. I hope the staff can take it.
It's perfect. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much. And now to end, we'll have a short survey. It's going to show on your screen, so you can choose multiple answers. And we'll also have a closing video, a song by the Little Angels singing the unification song. And it's also through them that went to North Korea and exchanged culturally. So please enjoy, have a beautiful day, and see you at the next session number 8 or at future webinars. Goodbye.